Hey everybody, John here in ShapesXR. To create an immersive app, it's really helpful to just get on in and get immersed. We're going to create a little sword fighting, shield, and magic game with a little inventory. And what we're going to focus on here is establishing the ergonomics and establishing the way that your user is going to interact and getting an immediate understanding as well of how tiring that's going to be and being able to work with that to create your game. So instead of, kind of the abstract world of sketching where you're just having ideas, in ShapesXR, you're going to go ahead and confront your ideas right away with how do I make this work and how does it feel to use. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks that I use, kind of setting up my shapes space and basically starting from scratch with a new idea that I want to explore. In this case, Swordorama Magic and Shield game. And we're going to start with the player rig and the player perspective in a very simple way. Let's get into it. Okay, now we're in the void. For now, I'm going to keep it in the void, although we can go to mixed reality, come back. But I'm going to start off in the void here because what I want to just focus on is basically creating an ergonomic rig or a way to check whether or not whatever I build in here is going to work with people's bodies. So there's a really fun way to do this. Basically, is we're gonna make sure our viewpoint is at a really central location. We might even snap it. There we go. Okay, so that so we're gonna base everything that we're gonna do off of this central point. So you see ShapesXR has some prefabs in here for different ergonomics, and this is great. We can pull these in. But what I really recommend you do is basically just get your draw tool and do some doodling about how your range of motion works. So this one I'm going to do in red. This is my maximum extended range of motion. Okay. And I'm going to go around and back and go up, maximum, down, maximum, all the way around, maximum. Okay, so this should feel almost like a workout. If you need to do it a couple times, that's okay. So then you're going to end up with this. So now I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to go more for like the green, what's easy for me to do. Okay, and then this, so now I'm going to be more like close into my body. So out here I was far, close in. So then I'm going to do that again. This is pretty easy to do. That's pretty easy to do. And this is pretty easy to do as well. So it's not like a totally scientific thing. It's just giving you a ballpark, okay? It doesn't need to be perfect is what I'm getting at. Because all you're trying to do is establish, what's easy to do, what's hard to do, and what's impossible to do. So this red represents like I would have to move in order to do this, right? I'd have to actually lean forward. So this is like the player rig, okay? So from this position, what you can do is you can even bring other folks in here and have them check it out, have them do this same thing. So I'm going to do it again with my other hand. Right, so, if we zoom out on this, then you have your player rig, okay? Roughly, you have your sort of ergonomic ranges. And so, Shapes has been nice, and they've provided some nice little prefabs here that we can sort of use, and you see they kind of respect this, so we can work with that. So this is just mine, and we're just going to start off with this. Now, what's interesting about the Shapes background feature is if you actually take all this stuff and put it into the background by basically grabbing it, pulling it into background, letting it go, you're going to be able to have it on every new stage. But then when you're done, you can bring it back out of of the background and it'll be gone. So if you want to check your ergonomics and across different users, imagine you have like maybe 3 or 4 of these drawn up in different colors that represent a basic average that you can work with. So this is where I'm always advocating for people to use the ShapesXR and jump right in, because you're not going to encounter this on paper. You're going to have a lot of ideas, and that's cool, and you can bring those ideas in here with you. But, there's an actual scale going on here. There's a ergonomic going on here, and you want to be able to encounter that right away. So, you got to consider things for your game like standing versus sitting as well. Like, how are you primarily having them going to use this experience? You need to think about how that rig might change or not. So, it's not pretty looking here, but this is like very beginning. You can get a sense for how's this stuff gonna work. So let's move over. Okay, so this is really the surface area now that I know I want to work with, and I have this basic understanding of how far out I can go. Okay, so we've got a couple elements that we want to play with in our game. I think I want there to be a few magic spells, so I can just go ahead and kind of grab out some little primitives, and then they can be representing different things. I'm keeping everything black and white right now because it's makes it easy to build up meaning on top of that. When you start with color, sometimes it can limit you to what you can kind of think about because you already have a lot of form. So I'm actually going to just, there we go. Okay. So I want there to be like a shield as well. I'll get a thing here. Okay, great. Now I have a basic shield, my magic items, and then I need a sword. So let's have some fun with this. We're going to make... So what we're trying to do here is not make super photo nice, perfect game asset models, right? That can come later. What we're trying to figure out is just how's this experience going to work? How's it going to feel to use? Because remember, it's called a spatial computer or whatever. Everyone has a term for it. But fundamentally, what's happening is you're having an experience. You're perceiving something is happening, and then you're interacting with that with your body in some way. Your body is contributing. So you need to consider your body right away. It's why I strongly advocate for always using ShapesXR right away when you start your projects. I actually go to it instead of sketch paper for a lot of things because I know through experience that my sketches are great for like getting the idea captured potentially, but they can sometimes just obscure what's actually happening. Okay. Now we have a sword. Yeah. Okay. And if you notice, I've been doing everything at 100%. And this will make sure that I've got a shared reference point. So, here, it's starting to come together. This shield's a little dinky. Let's make it bigger. Okay. Got our sword. Yeah. Okay. So now you're immediately coming into contact with your potential app. You're thinking about the angle at which your shield is being held, right? You're thinking about how that's going to contribute ergonomically, You're having to think about, and immediately it's going to start bringing up, yeah. Okay, right? Immediately it's going to start bringing up, how are you going to use this inventory system, and what kinds of, ways are you going to interact with this as a stateful thing. So what I like to do here is I bring in basically the prefab controller models to think about your controller paradigm. And then we have all these hands. And the hands are like I use them like little sign language glyphs for the states of the system. So like, for example, if we wanted to have shield happen when we did a palm up maneuver, right? Well, let's play with that, right? Let's make sure we put that in there so that we can build out our state, right? So I'm going to just do a quick example. This isn't so much about me explaining to you how to make Dungeons and Swords Orama. I just want to show you how to get started in Shapes really quick and the power of encountering your ideas. Because when I thought of this idea, it sounded great on paper, and then I came in here and I realized, oh, there's a lot of different nuance. So let's make like a little state state machine here, a little animation. So let's say, I take my controller and I get near one of these. Okay, now they can change color. They can maybe go up. So here we go. Um, is this going to get in the way of the user? Is this going to, etc. If I put this controller over here, I can pick this up. Would I ever want to be able to drop this, right? Would I ever want to be able to say, no, I'm actually going to go and get this, um, and set the shield down somehow because I want to have two spells going on at the same time. So you think about how you're going to engage with stuff that's attached to your controller, or how you're going to get in and out of that state. And remember, we can always check here with this, and then you've got to ground everything to the ergonomic ability. If you want your game to be really hard, you're gonna make your player really get up in there, and you're gonna want them to be exerting themselves. If you want your game to be more physically easy, maybe you're gonna think about how the distance of enemies, and that's where you can start to then work with your rig and start situating things out here in terms of designing your game and how those vectors are going to happen, and how this vector is going to start moving around, and what this rig is going to do when it moves. Is it going to follow the player purely? Is there going to be a bit of a lag, a little bit of a lerp that follows behind? And you can really play with all this, and you just mess with it with your hands in here, and it's going to give you a much better pathway of making your game feel good, or your experience or whatever feel good and make sense spatially. Because remember, then you can always turn back on the pass through if you want to make a pass through game or not. The pass through is also really helpful for just being able to see what size are basic player spaces. So what can I expect? So this is just a really fast overview of how you can use the ShapesXR. To really get a quick overview of how you want to make your game. That's how I'm going to leave you for now. Remember, get in direct contact with your ideas using ShapesXR. Once you're in direct contact with them, you understand how they work, you're going to move a lot faster in progressing your game from a concept full of ideas to an actual XR experience made out of dynamics and programs and rules. Because yes, we're inside of a cool new imagination, but that imagination is made out of computers. So you want to encounter the nativeness of the medium really quick. So don't fool yourself by doing too much sketching and too much 2D or Unity or something. Make sure you get in here, okay? Play with your thing right away. See how it's going to feel. Notice what's going to happen, and develop a sense for your experience. Your users are going to notice that because they're going to have a good time because you got to a point where you were having a good time. See you next time.